In this episode, I am once again joined by Dr. Nida Chenagtsang, Buddhist teacher, doctor of Tibetan Medicine, and author of Foundations of Sowa Rigpa, a guide to the root Tantra of Tibetan medicine. Dr. Nida discusses the traditional Tibetan medical system of Sowa Rigpa and reveals its core doctrines, such as health as balance, pulse and urine analysis, and how to discover your body's typology. Dr. Nida also delves into the esoteric side of Sowa Rigpa, including Tibetan demonology, the crossovers with Tantra, and the use of magical rituals and spells to treat mental and physical illness. Dr. Nida also discusses the similarities between Sowa Rigpa and ancient Greek medicine, the importance of sleep, the toxicity of emotion, and offers a direct warning to spiritual people around the world. So without further ado, Dr. Nida Chenagtsang. Dr. Nida Chenagtsang, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me again.
Well, I'm so delighted to speak to you again. And this time, wow, you have published Foundations of Sowa Rigpa, a guide to the root Tantra of Tibetan medicine, through Sky Press Books. And this is quite an achievement, 660 pages. So first of all, I'd like to say congratulations. There it is.
Yeah, it's a big book.
Could you say a little bit about what is this book about? Why have you decided to put it together with the team at Sky Press Books?
Yeah, well, Sowa Rigpa is the traditional name of traditional Tibetan medicine. And so originated from Tibet and then historically spread it to its neighbor countries, to Nepal, Bhutan, Mongolia, North India, and so on. But we can say compared to TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, and Ayurveda, Indian medicine, so Sowa Rigpa is very little known in the West, especially, right? So therefore, I took as my mission spreading Sowa Rigpa in the West, since almost 25 years. And so we used to call it traditional Tibetan medicine, TTM, or Tibetan medicine. And, then different countries, they call different name. In Mongolia, it's known as traditional Mongolian medicine. In Bhutan, known as Buddhist medicine. In Nepal, known as Himalayan medicine. It has so many names. So I thought it's good we use the original name, Sowa Rigpa, So, then we are all under one umbrella, and Sowa Rigpa in any way, it not belongs to, one group of people or one nation. I would say Sowa Rigpa is a universal natural medical science. And so in order to spread the Sowa Rigpa knowledge worldwide, it's very important to bring, it's a foundation, right? It's the basic understanding and knowledge, theory and philosophy, to general public. So that is the base. That's why I call it the foundation of Sowa Rigpa. If somebody is completely new, you can really see what is the root of this natural medical science.
Very interesting indeed. And there have been various introductory books to Sowa Rigpa published in the English language of a slimmer nature, including, in fact, your own Guide to Health. Tibetan Guide to Health. This book, however, goes quite a bit further than most of those volumes. Could you say something about the special features, if you like, of this particular book?
Yeah, I have been teaching Sowa Rigpa more than 25 years, both in the East and the West. And then so the way in the beginning, I didn't have much experience how to teach, right? So I just was teaching, based on what I know and what Sowa Rigpa is and so on. But then slowly, the more you integrate in the modern society, especially the Western, you're exposed to Western culture and you have to learn the new culture, the new tradition, different way of thinking, right? So then I see more how the Sowa Rigpa can be a very integrative medical system. So therefore, I often compare this to ancient Greek medicine. So there are many elements from Sowa Rigpa and ancient Greek medicine is very similar. And so that was a very interesting like a point for me, because we always talk why we are different, right? Why our colors are different, why our cultures are different, why our traditions are different, why our histories are different, why our languages are different. But I think also it's an important point, how similarity, our ancient human civilization, right, is not like one group of people or one nation owns our copyright, the art or the literature. Actually, I think it's like all human shared knowledge or science. So therefore, discovering about ancient Egyptian medicine, and then it's become the ancient Greek medicine, and then ancient Roman medicine. So I'm living in Rome. So for me, that's a kind of like an internal knowledge breach, right? And that goes beyond of our external limitations, the language, nationality, and so on. So when I saw that kind of breach, I thought, okay, we have to go a little bit deeper, right? We have to go a little bit deeper. Actually, it's not Sowa Rigpa. I tried to preserve the Tibetan medical science and try to bring it here to share with Westerners, right, or modern people. So the more I integrate, I myself personally, I try to integrate in the modern society, and the more I discover that the knowledge of Sowa Rigpa was already rooted here as a different name, as an ancient Roman medicine or Greek medicine or naturopath, whatever. And then that really gave me the insight that, I'm not different. What I'm teaching is not different. What I'm teaching is the ancient knowledge from Europe too. And so the important is we really try to reconnect how similar they are, right? And not only the similarity between the ancient medical science and also the modern medical science, how many things they are talking about today. The importance of the diet, the importance of the lifestyle, the importance of the sleep and the quality, right? And the importance of the environmental issues for our health and the human connections and socializing. That's the direct connection with our psychological well-being. And all these, so many things are already mentioned in Sowa Rigpa, right? It's already mentioned. But today it seems like we need to bring that I call it the word of God. It's called the science, it says scientifically, did a research and being proved, and this is right and that is wrong, and now we know the reason, this and that. I'm okay. I'm good with that. I don't have problem with scientific research. It's good, But so many things, what science says is exactly same, like in Sowa Rigpa already mentioned 1,000 years ago, right? I'm not also saying, okay, no science, just traditional knowledge. And I'm happy to see the common ground or common understanding, right? Between the ancient medical science or traditional medicine and the modern medical science. I'm happy there's a common, like a point, like common ground. That's nice too. And but these things, in a one way, I think we are kind of too driven by what is scientifically says right and wrong, right? And then, that's, I think, a little bit too much. So we need to pay more attention about ancient medical or ancient wisdoms, because those are passed from centuries to centuries, generations to generations. And in a way, this is the accumulation of human experiences and human knowledge, right? It's the real natural science. And but then on the other hand, I think also it's a good scientifically saying, oh, this is, the diet is so essential, which is exactly what all traditional medicine said, right? Or sleep is so crucial for our both physical and mental health, which is also mentioned by natural medical science. So I think in a way, this is also a good chance that we bring this kind of modern researches, to saying, you see, what ancient medical science says, actually, it makes sense. Maybe ancient time, they had a different explanation, but now we have a new kind of scientific language. we have a different translation and we can understand better, right? So what I'm saying is, in the beginning, when I was teaching Sowa Rigpa, it's like a Tibetan nomad teacher tried to teach Tibetan medicine, Sowa Rigpa, to new group of people, right? Westerners, Europeans. And then slowly, the more myself, integrated in this modern society, and more, of course, refined my knowledge and my experiences. And actually, instead of creating a cultural shock, there's I really found this cultural connection internally. What parts are really different, what parts are really same. But bottom line, we're all same, we're all humans, right? So that's why this kind of thing actually really kind of refined my experience and my knowledge, and also give me lots of courage, to talk more about Sowa Rigpa in a different level, right? It's not just say, okay, Sowa Rigpa is Tibetan medicine. It's very ancient and very important. It's very holy and secret. It's not kind of very superficial introduction about Sowa Rigpa. I'd really tried to bring the Sowa Rigpa's explanation in a different level, right? But that different level, it had to be integrative, right? And also it had to, how do you say? It had to handled or explained in a way that modern people can digest it, can understand it, can handle it, right? So otherwise I say, oh, this is holy, this is secret, this is what I have, and this is what our tradition, and if you like it, you take it, and otherwise, nothing to do with you, not something like that. But maybe in the past, more or less, I was that kind of, mode, right? That kind of state. But now I really, probably also the aging process, the more I can say, my 25 years I spent in Tibet, and then other 25 years I spent in the West. So in my one lifetime, I can already feel like I have two lives, right? My past life is in Asia, and my second life, this life, is in the West. So therefore, this book is actually, it's becoming really the experience of my own life too.
That's very interesting indeed. I would like to talk about Sowa Rigpa, its history, and some of its key features in terms of the theory of medicine and theory of wellness and disease and so on. But what you said there has prompted me to ask you, what are some of the cultural connections that you discovered? You said that you discovered inside of yourself certain cultural connections. I'm curious about that. And I'm also curious about the connections and correspondences you found between Sowa Rigpa, Tibetan medicine, and Greek medicine.
Yeah, so okay, you have few questions. First about the history, right?
Well, we could go back to that, but what you just said there is very interesting. You said that you found a personal inner connection.
Yes. So
To the Western culture, and also you noticed medical correspondences between the two medical systems. The sort of two.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we humans, externally, we look different, right? Our skin color, our hair color, the size of the noses, whatever, external appearance is different. So therefore, I think every ethnical groups, they present themselves, right? So I see myself as an Asian, you see yourself as a European. And then, I try to present my culture, my tradition, the way how I'm conditioned. And the same way, you present yourself as a, Western guy, right? So this is an external presentation, and we can see this external presentation is a condition of the tradition or the culture. But then let go one level down under the skin. We have the muscles, we have the blood vessels, we have inner organs and organ tissues and this and that, right? So in that level, we are not only talking about different colors or, different size of our body. So we are more in the physical body level. And then the more we go inside, the more we are the same, right? So in a similar way, then we go to we dive more in our psychological world, right? And especially when we talk about kleshas or, afflictive emotions, both negative emotions and positive emotions. And basically, we are the same. We all have same human emotions, right? And but then how do you really understand that emotions, right? Like Asians, they have anger, Westerns have anger. Anger is always the anger. It's a human anger. and how we react to anger, how we talk about anger, how we deal with anger, maybe can be a little bit different because of our cultures and conditions and traditions and so on. But the human emotions are the same. So therefore, if we have similar human emotions, right, the anger, we have similar human emotions, the desire too. And so if we really go in that level, the mentality, how I'm functioning as an Asian, how you are functioning as a European, and really the underneath, I think we all humans are the same. So only the conditions are different, right? So we are conditioned. Okay, if you eat food, you can just use your hand, your fingers, We are not civilized externally to use a knife and forks. And you guys are more, okay, civilization means your presentation. Your presentation, you have to use, like forks and knives and this and that, right? And today we can say why food is tasty using your fingers, or why it's a hygiene, you use the forks and the knives. Both can have an explanation, right? But those are our conditions, our culture and tradition, and this cannot refine us. This is only a presentation, external thing, right? But internally, the way how I feel hungry and how you feel is the same. You desire to eat that, I desire to eat this desire is the same. So that's why I think the more we dive in human internal world, the more we are same. So that's why in the psychologically, I think in a really deep down, we are the same. So physiologically, internally, we are the same, but externally, we are different. So, and then what I'm saying, the culture different is, actually cultural is a condition too, right? These conditions, we grew up in a different condition and we react a different way. But internally, I think there's not much different. This is the reason why the ancient Greek medicine and the Sowa Rigpa also similar, right? Greek medicine says, we are what we eat. Sowa Rigpa says exactly the same. We are what we eat. And Greek medicine says walking is the best medicine. And Sowa Rigpa says walking is the supreme lifestyle. So it's a little bit different expression, but the same meaning, right? And both medicine says herbal medicines are very important. But herbal medicines are coming, the herbs are coming as a support for the body. Herbs are not for there's something like we have to take forever, right? Our body have to manage itself and fix itself through its energy, like humors, right? In the Greek medical medicine, they talk 4 types of humors: the bile, black bile, phlegm, and the blood. So in Sowa Rigpa, we talk 3 types of humor, or sometimes we talk 4, including blood, which is very similar. And what we talk humor is the humors are like energy. Today I translate it as an energy, right? So why in ancient medical system, the energy is so important? Because energy is the force, bonding the body and the mind. When we say mental health, physical health, some doctor says, okay, I'm dealing with only physical health. I don't care about mental health. And maybe another doctor says, oh, I'm just dealing your mental health. I don't care about physical health, right? So in a very in the specialization, you can do like that. But when we say holistic medicine, we cannot divide actually, what is body's function and what is mind's function. So there is no separation between body and mind. Why there's no separation between body and mind? Because of the energy. And energy is the link force which puts completely together, right? So in Tibetan we call lusem yermel, means inseparable body and mind. Or lunga yisum yermel means inseparable body and speech and mind. It means body and energy and mind. So, and that's why I think when we talk about energy, today some people, they have, energy is something different than my emotion, my mind, or the energy is different than my physical body. No, energy is in the body, and energy is the power of our mind and emotion. We can't separate it, right? But actually in the medical science, if you say, we work on the energy to balance the energy, that's the best way to balance, because once energy is balanced, that can balance the body and balance the mind. So that's why the Greek medical theory, the 4 humors, and Sowa Rigpa's 3 or 4 humors, I think basically is the same. And then, sorry, there's another thing about historically, so we know that Sowa Rigpa is originated from Himalayan region in Tibet. And then I like this historical event. It says in 8th century, the Tibetan king Trisongdetsen, and he invited, or he supported that, Tibetan local doctors to invite international doctors. So doctors from China, from Mongolia, India, Nepal, Bhutan, and also from Persia, right? So, and then there are many that these international doctors, they gathered in Tibet and they stayed there over 6 months. So probably one of the first international medical conference. And so, those doctors, they had translators and they had time to exchange their own knowledges and so on. And I think that was a really amazing event, So some historical text says that was the base of really forming Sowa Rigpa as a very solid medical system. And personally, I think that makes sense, So like ancient Greek medicine traveled from Greece to the Middle East, then to India, or to the, East, or the ancient Roman medicine also traveled, back to, not back, travel from the West to the East, right? Both, historically, we know the Greek army and Roman armies, they reached the Middle East and then toward to the, Asia. And then I'm sure there was a very powerful cultural exchange too. It's not only the business, that the trading, the Silk Road. And the Silk Road was very important for the medical development or medical knowledge exchange and art and mathematics, all the things, right? So therefore, I think probably the development of Sowa Rigpa was also connected with the Silk Road business, right? Silk Road business. So in a way, this kind of event, what I mentioned, the International Medical Conference in Tibet, which is last 6 months, and then every doctors, they taught their own traditions, and then Tibetan, it's called the 9 scholars of Tibetan doctors, and they are coming together and they try to write a system of Sowa Rigpa and so on. So I personally, I like that, how do you say? I like that that history, because that history really tell us what integrative medicine is, right? So the reason why I'm saying Sowa Rigpa is a universal medicine, because Sowa Rigpa is basically talking about our human health. And it is integrative because it can be integrated in any kind of, how do you say, a society, right? Different ethnic groups or whatever. Is not like we're imposing, like if you learn the Sowa Rigpa, you have to become like this and that, and you must have that belief or this belief, right? So Sowa Rigpa says, if you have the knowledge, nothing is not a medicine in this planet, right? If we know how to use any kind of herbs and plants, it can be used as a medicine. So if we don't know how to use, everything can become a poison too. And then historically, in the 12th century, the Yuto, we call it the father of Tibetan medicine. I think in his time, he really made it very, very systematic, It made it very systematic. And he presented the Sowa Rigpa in a very kind of logic way, in a very scientific way. And for example, that's why the book he wrote is called the Four Tantras, right? Four Tantras. There is, Tantra 1, 2, 3, 4. And then many people are saying, oh, well, it's a medical science. Why you call it a Tantra? And, it took a long time for me to understand why a medical book is called Tantra, right? And so, for example, in my book, it says the Foundation of Sowa Rigpa, a guide to root Tantra of Tibetan medicine, root Tantra. So many people, they ask me, why a medical book is called the Tantra, right? But originally, Tantra was a medical terminology, originally, ancient time, because the Tan means the body, Tra means protect. Protect your body from disease, disorders, or imbalances, right? The similar way, mantra means protect your mind from pain and suffering, right? So mantra is almost like a psychotherapy, and tantra is like a physiotherapy, like a body therapy, right? So in this case, tantra means body protection. What does it mean? How to protect the body? It means a medical science, right? We need to learn the nature of our body, the function of our body, and the balance of our body. And also we need to know how our body can get sick. And then we need to learn how to cure it, how to treat it. And all this study process, it's called the Tantra, right? It's a very like a complete and systematic study. So in the Yuto, when he said the four Tantras, I like this, his structure. First one is called the root Tantra, right? Root Tantra means the foundation or the introduction. So that's why this book is based on the introduction or the foundation of Sowa Rigpa, right? So it has only 6 chapters, and the 6 chapters now become 600 pages. So, in the traditional way, when there is an expression, and I think the explanations are kind of very simple and very direct. But today we need to, unwind them, untie them to explain a little bit more clearly, right? More clearly. So that's why we need to put lots of explanations and more commentaries, and in a little bit different way of explaining these things, right? So that's why first one is the introduction to Sowa Rigpa, and then the second one, it's a very all the basic studies of medicine, embryology, physiology, anatomy, and pathology, and diagnosis, treatment, and so on. But in order to give a very clear picture of the foundation of Sowa Rigpa, I had to quote many things also from the second Tantra, right? Because that like gives more detailed explanations. And so that's why, as I said, if I present Sowa Rigpa as a first layer is the root Tantra, the foundation. But if we need to bring it in a different level, right? Different level of higher or more deeper, and then we have to bring the second Tantra. So therefore, this book is actually kind of a combination of the first Tantra and second Tantra. And then the third Tantra is very kind of professional for medical practitioners, right? All different kind of pathologies. And then the last one is a very clinical and very practical part, as a therapist or as a doctor, what you actually do or deal with your patient when the patient comes to your clinic. So that's the for Tantra. And so the reason I mentioned for Tantra, because for Tantra is becoming the most important textbook for Sowa Rigpa. Still today, in the medical colleges and universities in everywhere, we learn the base is we always learn from the four tantras, right? Four tantras, and that's the foundation. I think that is a kind of some people, they are saying, oh, this book is very old. It has 800 years of history. Why you guys are still learning it, right? So I think one reason is because then at least we don't get lost on the track of what Sowa Rigpa is, right? We stay in the what Sowa Rigpa is. I think that is important too, authentic tradition comes. And we know what is our root, right? We know what is our base. But then Sowa Rigpa does not limit to say, okay, this is Sowa Rigpa and that is not Sowa Rigpa. As I said, Sowa Rigpa says, for example, in the West, maybe there are some plants and some medicinal herbs we don't use much in Himalaya and Tibet. But if we know how to use and what they are doing, what are their functions and so on, like we can use it here too, right? Like a rosemary and Mediterranean diet is so common and so popular, rosemary oil, you put in the food and so many different ways to use it. But then how about in Sowa Rigpa? Do we talk about that? Right? It's even maybe it mentioned in some old texts, but it's not, talks like in the Mediterranean culture, right? But then we know it's an anti-inflammatory, we know it's a digestive, and we know it's a function. So we can integrate in the Sowa Rigpa. We don't need to reject it to saying, oh, this is not from Tibet or this is not from Sowa Rigpa. Do you understand? So that's why I think it's important we have our foundation, but this foundation, need to have this openness, and you are ready to embrace the new studies and the new culture and a new way of thinking, without having difficulties or conflict.
Very interesting indeed. And I understand that one of the appendixes of this new publication is a fresh translation of that root Tantra in its entirety.
Yes, and I should thank actually our team of the people who helped and supported me sincerely to finish this book. And then, the translation, I think also it's very important. And so I asked Ben Joffe, who is a great translator, to retranslate everything. So I give some my ideas about some words and the things. It's not we are saying our translation is the best, okay? I think, when we talk about translation, translation is very essential because actually translation is the transmission, right? And if we translate the wrong words, and it means it transmits the wrong meanings. And so this is the reason, sometimes I say maybe some Sanskrit words or Tibetan words, we just keep in that original language, and then we give different possibilities of the words, translated words, then you can choose in the way how you want to understand, right? So that's why, that's not only for the Dharma or for Buddhism, also the medical, I think it is important. We keep some original words, right? Like the word of Buddha, how you want to translate that Buddha can have many different meanings and versions, this and that. And then some people says, okay, Buddha means this, and there's a fixation, and to seeing any other translations is not accepting and rejecting, right? So maybe you literally understand the meaning of the Buddha, but you are not understanding what reality of Buddha. Buddha, maybe it means just to wake up. Different people, they have different translations. Don't get fixed too much and this and that. So that's why we tried, and as I said, Ben is a great translator, and we tried to, be careful how we translate some very specific words. It's like easy to understand, more direct meaning, and also easy to digest, right? Some of this, as I said, for Tantra is coming from 800 years ago. It's a different time, different location, and different mentality, right? And different culture. So some of the way to how to express in that time, maybe it doesn't exactly fit in our time. So that's why we try to, the translation part, we try to make it more like integrative or more digestible. Let put that way. And then, yeah, we also putting the, how do you say, when we start to make the book, this book, and I actually taught the Sowa Rigpa Foundation class. So Sowa Rigpa Institute, we are offering the teachings on Sowa Rigpa class. And I did this teaching the foundation class for maybe twice. And then while I was teaching, also based on some people's, the students' question and answering, so we really had to accumulate lots of, how do you say, experiences and ideas and putting together, So that's why, yeah, I want to thank everybody who are involved in the, creating this book. And, it's not just, it's my idea and I wrote and finished a book. We have editors, we have supporters and designers, and so many people are involved in this. Using this chance, I want to thank all of them.
Yes, and it's perhaps worth emphasizing that the Sowa Rigpa Institute that you founded with others offers various courses based in this material: 1-year foundation course, 2-year course for those who want an orientation for themselves, their own health, 4-year practitioner courses, counselor courses, massage or bodywork courses, lots of very in-depth training springing from these 4 tantras, but integrating other influences too. For example, the counseling course is taught with Dr. Caroline Van Dam, Belgian psychiatrist, who's been a frequent guest on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very exciting, I think, what's happening at the Sowa Rigpa Institute these last few years and going forward too.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, let's talk a bit about the Sowa Rigpa model. You write here in the introduction, at its core, Sowa Rigpa is about balance and interconnectivity. Tibetan medicine teaches that our natural underlying state is a state of health. Staying healthy in Sowa Rigpa means keeping our body, energy and mind in dynamic yet stable equilibrium. By contrast, disease is what happens when we become imbalanced, when our healthy equilibrium is compromised or disrupted. So I wonder if you might say something about the fundamental, what you refer to here as the core of the Sowa Rigpa medical model.
Well, the core of Sowa Rigpa is, I would say, the balance. Okay. What are you drinking now? Tea or coffee?
Tea.
All right. So let's take that example. Is tea good for health or not? Right. Then you say, oh, it depends. It's a green tea or black tea. And then the green tea also, it depends where it's coming from, right? Whether it's from Japan or China, different, or Indonesia, or black tea. Okay, where it's coming from? Oh, mostly from India, Darjeeling tea, whatever. So then maybe some researchers say that green tea is detox and so good, this and that, and black tea is this and that, right? So I think, many cases, can I tell you a joke? If the researchers are well paid, they can always find a way to say something is good for us, okay? This is the reason I say we should not stick too much what scientifically says right and wrong. Unfortunately, it's decided by the money power, right? So what really Sowa Rigpa says, I love this part is, of course, you should know where your tea is coming from, right? Hopefully it's organic. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. Hopefully it's organic. That's number one important. Or even not that organic, hopefully they did not use too much chemicals to grow your tea leaves, right? So that's number one. Hopefully there was a balance, not 100% organic, not also 100% chemical used, kind of a balanced way. And then it come to you, and then you drink how much tea you drink, right? Over drinking, excessively drinking, especially if you drink in the wrong time, maybe it will affect you. Tea has caffeine, it's kind of psychoactive drug, very light drug, and it's nice too. But if you drink the wrong time in the evening or afternoon and so on, it influences your sleep, right? It causes insomnia, light sleep, and the next day you are tired and so on. So what is the balance, right? What is the balance? So actually, to really understand that balance, we really need a very precise wisdom or intelligence, right? So firstly, you say, okay, what is the nature of my body? What is my typology? Right? My type is more water type, earth type, wind type, fire type. What is my typology? And then what tea I'm drinking, the black one or the green one? And when is the best time I can drink? And when is the worst time I drink? And how much should I drink, right? Those are all, if we use the wisdom and intelligence, we don't say don't drink tea at all. Oh, the tea is the best and you can drink all the time. So you see, everything is a question of balance, right? Everything is a question of balance. And that is, I think, the core of the Sowa Rigpa. And we cannot be, when we say it's all about the balance, again, we cannot say, the perfection, right? 100%, have to be perfect, what you eat, you can eat this amount of food, how many grams of the protein per day and this and that, kind of something really precise and measured, this and how much exercises you have to do, how much steps you have to do, how much cups you do. We should not live with rules, right? We should not live with rules, but we should live with our intelligence and wisdom, and to knowing the nature of our own body and our interaction to our life and our relationship with our food and drinks, whatever we are, we are connected, right? So that's why I think that's why the Sowa Rigpa idea can be a very integrative, right? So about the tea, I'm sure which tea is best for you, how much energy it can give to you, and what time is best for you, and this and that, right? Maybe when you are younger, you liked the tea, you didn't think much about these things, but now you are also kind of aging and becoming wiser and more experiences, right? So then, of course, you read the article about the tea, about the science and this and that. You say, oh, yeah, this is a scientific paper. Maybe they done this, this kind of research, people like this and that. Well, you can say it's a little bit different for me because we are all individuals, right? You know everything by experience. So that's why I think Sowa Rigpa, really, I like this. Everything is a question of balance, right? Question of balance. And when we talk about the sleep, the most common, our slogan is 8 hours of sleep. And then some people says, no, we need more than 8 hours. And some scientists says, no, we need less than 8 hours. Even 7 is enough. Why 7 is perfect? We cannot say it's like that for all humans, right? We are all individuals, all different people, and we all have different typology. So we have different needs. But if we really pay attention, if we have the awareness or we are mindful, we know that which ones are good for us and we know which ones are bad for us. And then the key point is to find the balance between these two.
Thank you. And one of the fascinating things about Sowa Rigpa, I think, is its diagnostic system. How is it that you can detect that you're out of balance? Okay, there are some obvious signs too, but Sowa Rigpa has various means of diagnosis which are also quite subtle and can even detect imbalances before they ripen into various different disorders. I wonder if you might say a little bit about how it is in Sowa Rigpa that disorder is detected.
Yeah, so the diagnostic method there are mainly three. First one, we call it observation. Observation of the human body, and then the sense organs, and it's not sense organs just checking the sense organs. Actually our body is perfectly designed. What we call, we don't see the internal organs, but internal organs are wired up with external organs, right? Sense organs. So therefore, through the eyes, we can analyze about the liver. Through the ears, we can analyze about the kidneys. And through the tongue, we analyze the heart. Through the nostril or the nose, we analyze the lungs, right? So this is the observation part. And then observation part, we have the urine analysis. Actually, we talked about the similarity between Greek medicine and the Tibetan medicine, Sowa Rigpa. Urine analysis and both medical tradition is super important, right? We know urine analysis, even in the modern medical science, is very important part of the diagnosis, right? And ancient Greek medicine, they focus that so much, urine analysis, and Sowa Rigpa exactly the same thing. And actually also we can find this urine analysis in ancient Egyptian medical tradition, which is like 5,000 years ago, right? So, and then when we say the urine analysis, the analysis of also the feces, it's not always we have to use the machines and technology. We can, use them in a natural way too, right? To see the color of the urine and concentration of the sediments and also the smell of urine. So just in a natural observation of urine, we can get so many information from there, right? And so observation of sensorial organs, observation of urine, and observation of this person's the expressions, the facial, the skin, the hair, so that's the first part. And second part is called the pulse reading. And pulse reading is, we have the physical check to see how heart is doing, and then that's the physical, the number of the pulse, how many beats. Actually, this is kind of almost the Asian art of the diagnosis, right? Like traditional Chinese medicine, they do it, in Ayurveda they do it, in Sowa Rigpa we do it. Everybody checks pulse. And first part is just checking the condition of the heart. Is it irregular or it's more balanced? And we check all the things. And then underneath that, we check the energies, right? The energies is more like the pulse beating is more like kind of a windy, or more like a fire, sharp and burning, or like kind of steady and hard like the earth, or like the water, So different way we analyze that, more like a kind of energy level. But then also underneath that, there is a kind of psychological level, So I like this part because I always say our body has its own intelligence, right? Body's intelligence. So that's why in the Vajrayana, we call it Vajra body. And then maybe our inner organs are suffering. Maybe our gut system is suffering, or maybe our liver is overloaded with sugar or alcohol, toxins, whatever. And in a way, the body's intelligence is not like body is giving a signal, oh, I have a pain or something wrong there, right? That is a signal, that is a showing the sign signal too. But before that, our organs are communicating, right? So communicating through our body. And what is this communication part is the pulse reading. Do you understand? So therefore, if you are really good Sowa Rigpa doctor, actually, if you check we use different fingers and different locations, check the pulse, you are checking the physical pulse beats and so on. That's the first level. You are checking the energy waves, right? The energy is more wind or more fire, water, earth, whatever energy. And then also we are listening to the talks of the inner organs, what this person's liver is talking about. Or we try to find that signal that liver is struggling, handling with the sugar, or struggling, handling with the toxins, right? With, I don't know, whatever. Liver is struggling, handling, dealing with the alcohol toxins, right? Like if somebody drink too much alcohol and the next day we see in the urine, right? Urine is more kind of like muddy, more, like the color is more kind of darker yellow or dark red and this and that, right? Because why after having, excessive alcohol drinks, your urine is very bad? Because the toxins enters in the liver and then enters in other organs and then to the brain and then detox by the kidneys, right? So those poor organs, they go through detox process and they suffer. And then later they remove all toxins. And then it's like we see the garbage. Okay, garbage, there's so much garbage. What's wrong? It means it's something wrong in the house, right? The house is the one they are producing lots of garbage. So all garbage are dumped in garbage bin. And that's why now we externally see lots of garbage, right? So that's why urine actually shows directly how much our kidneys are suffering, how much toxins we have in our blood, in our lymph system, whatever. And then the pulse is more subtler, right? Pulse is more subtler, but because of our body intelligence, our body is always try to speak out, to try to express. Liver is always try to express what's wrong with itself. And the heart is try to express what's wrong with the heart, right? That's why sometimes we feel pain. That's why we feel kind of a heaviness. That's why sometimes we have like the tightness in the chest and this and that. So it's not the organs are not expressing their difficulties and they are in trouble and they're losing the balance. But problem is our ignorance. We are not mindful, right? We have no awareness. We ignore those vital organs. We ignore them. We don't know them. And so I think this is, in a way, the Western psychology, they talk about self-destructive mode, right? I think with ignorance, all humans, we are always in this self-destructive mode, right? Whatever you eat or you drink, do you think this is something, joyful for the liver or your digestion system? Or something harmful? Normally we don't think. We say, okay, I just want to eat because it's a sugar, because it's a sweet, because it's tasty, because I enjoy it, because I love it, right? But is it a love? No, it's not love. It's a very simple addiction. And are you treating yourself very well? No, you are treating yourself very badly with bad food, with bad drinks, and with poisons. You're poisoning yourself and you think I'm enjoying it. It's a kind of, how do you say, like a delusional state, right? It's a delusional state. We were constant of this delusional state. So this is the reason, actually, when we do the, Sowa Rigpa diagnosis, right? The pulse reading, sometimes I tell patient, you say, I think your lungs are kind of suffering. And then they say, you are checking my pulse. How do you know my lungs are suffering? I say, well, I feel in your pulse, but I hear the way you are breathing too. The way of your breathing is not okay. It's not normal. And the how you sound your breathing, it's not okay because your lungs are suffering, right? Your bronchi is suffering. So you see, even you just go for a walk after, I don't know, like 10 or 20 minutes of walk or jog, you start to panting. So what does it mean, right? Do you blame to your age? Do you blame to, oh, like the weather is bad or this and that, right? Actually, it's a body's communication. Our lungs are saying we are suffering. Don't do oversitting. It's harmful. And also don't give me too much stress. You just not doing exercise for 1 month and suddenly you go for a long walk, right? To try to find a balance. So that's why actually the pulse reading, it's a very beautiful kind of very subtle communication from the internal world, the internal invisible world to, to the visible world, to the touchable, the tangible world. And so that's why, of course, the doctor should be an experienced doctor and also let the patient and rest and calm. And then you can kind of, receive the information, complaints about inner organs, right? It sounds a little bit psychological way of talking, but I think this is the way. How, when we say body is struggling and they are talking to us, that's true, right? Our inner organs, they have their own languages, and their languages are mostly like the signals, right? The severe signals are pain, right? That the pain, why there's a pain, and body is saying like kidney stone pain is a sharp pain, why there's a pain, and kidney is saying I have stone, I'm suffering here, the signaling, right? That's a kind of very severe level. But before we reach that severe level, and there are kind of really like a subtle and extreme subtle level of body is always expressing, right? Very similar way, some people say, oh, I'm always kind of happy and nice, my life is cool, everything's good. So then I ask, well, how about your dreams? Are you happy in your dream? And, oh, no, in my dream, I have some difficulties. I said, well, maybe your conscious level, you think you're happy, that's fine. But unconscious level, you have so many stuffs. And that's why in the dream, you are not happy. That's why in the dream you are stressful. Maybe the problem is you just don't know yourself, how to reconnect with your unconscious level, right? So while we are dreaming, everything what we have in the unconscious level, everything, stored in unconscious level is manifesting. And sometimes they are even bizarre, too strange for us. That's why we say, oh, I had a strange dream. I always say, well, if you think you have strange dreams, it means you are a stranger for yourself. That's the truth. Then people don't, no, I'm not strange. I know myself, this and that, right? Denial phase. So similar way, what we experience in our conscious level, it's what we think, what is right and wrong now. We are happy or not happy now. But what we experience while we are meditating or while we are sleeping in the dream, I think that's the things what we have in our subconsciousness, right? Similar way, I'm feeling great, everything's okay. And that's your physical conscious level. But physical subconscious level, the organs are not okay, right? Like fatty liver, for example, fatty liver. So many people, they have fatty liver. You don't see the fat in the liver, and there's not much symptoms for that. Nobody knows. But maybe in the pulse, we can detect that. Liver is struggling. Liver is telling us, sending the energy, the waves to saying, oh, I'm too heavy. I'm storing too much sugar and I'm covered by the fat and maybe I'm going to collapse, this and that, right? If you imagine that our every organ, they become like a different person or humans. Or if I imagine myself becoming liver, right? Then I'll realize like how I'm poisoning my own liver. by soft drinks, alcohol, or fast food and sugar food and so on, right? So that's why I think the pulse reading has a really, different, it's a deep meaning but different layers to understand that part, right? And then the third diagnostic method is the conversation. And I think the conversation part also very important. So end of the day, when we talk to a patient, right, who knows about that patient is themselves. So therefore, it's important we ask the right questions and listen to them, what they are talking about, their complaints, about their problems. And also, it's not like all patients, they know about themselves and they are just telling us what they have. And sometimes patients, they're lying, right? They lie about their health. They lie about their symptoms. So for different reasons. And some of them, they know they are lying. And some of them, they even don't know they are lying about their health and this and that, right? So, patient come to you and, we humans, we care about reputations. We care about self-image, self-presentation. And that's why people don't say, oh, no, I drink alcohol every day or I this and that. I say, oh, yeah, I try my best. I know alcohol is bad. I know smoke is bad and this and that. Try to balance this way. And then I think these parts are when we communicate with a patient. I'm not saying we should not trust what patient is saying, okay? Communication between doctor and the patient is very important, right? And then we should not believe everything what patient is saying because patient might confused about their health, about their lifestyle, about this and that. Or patient always have this kind of way to present themselves in a better way. I can understand that, right? So that's why when you really communicate with a patient, you really need to be kind of, how do you say? You should be a very good detective, right? You should be good, kind of very detective. You ask smart questions and you see the answers. And also, of course, don't judge the patient. But then you see, in a way, what are their emotional difficulties, right? And so this part, and then how like our emotions are dictating, our mentality and how it's controlling, the way of thinking and how it's changing the way of communication, all these things, then the Buddhist view is very important, right? Buddhist view, so that's why Sowa Rigpa has a very direct link with the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist theory, as you said about interdependent, interconnectivity, and also about causality, right? Every disease has a condition, and those maybe few conditions, those conditions based on the different causes. So we call it primary cause and secondary causes or conditions, and then creates a problem or imbalances, right? So that's why, medical science, yes, it's important we know what you are eating, what you are doing. That's important, right? But then also it's important to know why you are doing that, right? Why you are always sitting, why you are not moving enough. Is that a laziness? Or is that procrastination, right? Or is that like a depression? Do you understand? You're not moving. So why you are not moving? We try to understand that better, right? Or you are keep eating the same stuff and it's not healthy, but you are doing it again and again. So why you do it again? How you started it, right? Or you have a kind of a bad habit. What are the bad habit? And this bad habit, the bad habit maybe somebody has a poor circulation, and that poor circulation is connected with oversitting. And oversitting is not just normal sitting. You are sitting in a high chair, so your legs are down and there's no circulation going up. And you do this, maybe because of you're working on a computer and this and that, you do this, right? So that's a kind of a habit. Oh, because of my work, I have to sit this way. Oh, because I was just sitting on the high chair, I get used to it. They have so many reasons, right? So if we try to understand why they have this kind of habits, fix the habits, and why these habits are becoming the original cause of the both mental and the physical problems, and then we need to address these things too, right? It's not, okay, you have a circulation problem, I just give you herbs for better circulation. That's not enough. There is a condition for that. You have to change that condition. And then you think, okay, I cannot change that condition, something in your mind. So what is that? Because of my work, this and that. Because you have many excuses. So those are coming from confusion. But then at the end, do you want to choose a healthy legs? Do you want to choose a healthy legs, right? Healthy legs, you can do sport, you can do movements, you can travel, this and that, or you want to be a successful person in your work on the computer. So what is your goal? Your business is good, everything is very good, and this and that, you make lots of money. So why you do so much of that? Oh, I want to go travel. Okay, you make lots of money now. Then one day you are ready for travel, your legs are not working. Which one you have to choose, right? So this kind of thing, it's just a very simple kind of stupid example, but I think many things are like that, because what Buddhism says, the fundamental problem is ignorance. And the ignorance, what we call in Buddhism, I translate as a confusion. Why we have lots of health problems? Because we are confused. That's the problem. Fundamentally, we are confused. And that confusion becoming the root cause of all kind of health issues, both for physical and mental. So that part, how we can detect the patient confusion through the conversation, right? So therefore, I think the three of them, the palpation, diagnosis through palpation, observation, and communication. Those three are very important.
Thank you very much. Another core aspect of Sowa Rigpa that I think is so important and fascinating is this idea of the three nyepas. Quote from the introduction to your book: the three humoral energies of lung, tripa, and becken are fundamental dynamic principles through which health, pathology, diagnosis, treatment, and various environmental, seasonal, and cosmic processes are understood. They are at the heart of Sowa Rigpa's distinctive understanding of the world and inform almost every aspect of its approach to health and wellness. They also serve as a bridge between Tibetan medical and Buddhist teachings. So I'm very curious about that. If you could say something about these three nyepas, why they are so fundamental to all these different areas that were listed in that quote, and also in what way do they show a connection between the medical system of Sowa Rigpa and Tibetan Buddhist and indeed Tantric teachings?
So your first question, the connection with Tantric teachings, Buddhist Tantra and Sowa Rigpa. Actually, when we say the emotional poisons or toxins, it talks first is the ignorance, and then anger, and then desire, right? Three kind of chief or the top like emotions. One is the ignorance, and one is the desire, and one is the anger. And I think this kind of Buddhist expression, it's a very, very powerful theory, right? when we talk about poison and toxins, we know that poisons or toxins are harmful, and we want to avoid it if it's possible. We want to run away, it's possible, right? Or if something is dangerous, we have to be careful. So actually, Buddha expressed, we have emotional toxins. And this is something about us, you know. There's no much escape. We can't escape from ourselves. And, you know, the best way is to be smart and finding a way how to deal with those things, right? Toxic ignorance or confusion, a toxic desire or toxic attachment, or toxic anger or hatred, okay? So all times we translate that poison, but today I'm using more toxic. I think it makes more sense, you know. It's a direct for us, right? We understand, oh, something toxic, right? Oh, this is a toxic drink. Do you want to drink? No, I don't want to toxicate myself, right? And the beautiful thing with toxic emotions are direct origin of our toxic energy, okay? So yeah, now I said toxic energy, probably people don't like that, you know, because when we say energy is kind of something nice and, you know, energy flow, I feel the energy this, right? So it's very simple. If mind can be toxic and part of mind's expression is becoming the energy, and that can be toxic too. And if the energy is toxic, and that toxic energy can manifest in the body too, right? So that can become toxic for the body. So in this case, let's say what a toxic attachment or desire doing in our body, it makes increase our lung energy, right? Desire, it means wanting and wanting, attached and cleaning and cleaning, right? So the more toxic desire or toxic attachment we have, the more toxic wind energy is produced. And then the more toxic wind energy is produced, so it gives you a feeling that you want it more and more, right? So in Tibetan, there's a word is called sepa. Sepa means actually clinging to it. You want it again and again, right? And that selpa is coming because of rigpa, because of touch, okay? Because of touch. So why we are addicted to fast food? Because we have attached, we attached to we tasted the fast food. We did it again and again and again. And now it's becoming a craving, right? And this craving makes us eat it again and again. But that craving makes this toxic wind energy, it's kind of balanced a little bit. And then you take it again. If you don't have it, you are maybe trembling. You feel kind of stressed. Oh, there's no sugar. There's no energy. Oh, maybe I have brain fog. Maybe I'm this and that, right? So you take it again and then it's happy, right? So it's like the mental toxin is coming in the energy toxin. An energy toxin giving a toxic reaction for the body. So that means 3 mental toxins: ignorance, attachment, anger. 3 nyepas. Actually, nyepa, it's the same, the Sanskrit in Ayurveda, it's called the doṣas. Nyepa or dosha means a fault, okay? And that fault we can translate as a toxic too. Because of those energies, we get sick. we lose our balances. We get disorder, right? So then 3 mental toxins are the origins of 3 toxic energies, goes together like this, right? Toxic energies. So 3 toxic emotions are connected, 3 toxic energies. And then who will become the next victim? The body. Body get inflamed, or body get metabolic problems, right? Or body can lose the balance. So that's why I actually, the really interesting part, as I said already, you know, when we say holistic medicine or holistic therapy, right? Or holistic view, we cannot separate the mind and energy and body. 3 of them go together. In order to help the body, we need to help the mind too. In order to help the mind, we need to help the body too. So this humoral energy, in Tibetan we call nyepa, lung tipa beken, and we call nyepa, and that's a translation from dosha. The word of dosha, nyepa, means a fault, right? Why I have a tension headache, that is the fault of lung. Lung brings more tension. Why I have tension? Because I have too much desire. Desire to finish 100 different things in 1 hour. It's impossible. Desire, that desire doesn't match with the physical reality, right? And that brings too much tension. And that tension causes a headache. So why I have a headache? It's a tension headache, right? And tension headache is whose fault? Who created that? Lung energy is created that. Okay, I can say lung is the fault. It's energy is the fault. That's why I have a headache. But then you ask one more question, right? Why this energy, instead of giving me a calm and a nice head, giving me a headache? And then you go back, toxic desire. Do you understand? So that's why in the Buddhism, it says toxic emotions. And the medicine says energies are the main faults of our imbalances or our disorders. Do you understand? So both of them, they are saying there's something wrong with our energy, something wrong with our mind. And now the Buddhism and the Sowa Rigpa together, actually, these 2 things, what we are complaining about our mind and energy goes together, right? And then plus the medical system in a very extensive way explained how these disorders, imbalances are manifesting in our body, right? Different part of our body in different organs and so on.
Thank you very much. You're talking there about this link between the Sowa Rigpa model and Buddhist teachings. There are also links with tantric and other esoteric teachings associated in particular with the ngakpa. To quote from your book, the introduction to your book, you write, historically, many hereditary amchi, that's doctors, were also ngakpa, non-celibate, non-monastic, tantric yogis and ritual specialists. Not all ngakpa become fully trained amchi, but all ngakpa know at least something about materia medica and medicine, given their role as village-level ritual healers and propitiators of spirits. Many hereditary lineage doctors have studied Sowa Rigpa concurrently with tantric yoga, mantra healing, dzogchen, alchemy, divination, and shamanic practices. Both Yutok the Elder and Yutok the Younger were married householder ngakpa with children. So, could you say something about that? That's another aspect of Sowa Rigpa, the ngakpa side. You talk about 2 approaches to Sowa Rigpa education, for example. One is the Kimgyu, the hereditary or family lineage transmission, the other being the Lopgyu, the student or school lineage transmission. So here I was reading there from something you were saying about the Kimgyu, the family lineage.
Yeah,
So could you say something about that, the esoteric side of Sowa Rigpa? For example, one of its causes of disease in Sowa Rigpa, yes, diet, lifestyle, seasonal factors and so on, but also Dön provocation, interactions with spirits and so on, which can cause various psychological and physical disorders. And similarly, there are healing methods that are more in that department. So I wonder if you might say something about that more esoteric side of Sowa Rigpa.
Well, yeah, in Tibetan culture, everybody knows, in the Buddhist world, there's the monastic group and lay people's group. So lay people's groups are called the ngakpas. And I think in our old society, there's a gap between the monastic society and the lay people's society, right? The monastic society is highly respected, and the lay people's society, they sponsor the monastic society. So the relationship is more sponsorship and offering, and then spiritually, they protect the lay people, right? So that's the one part. But what I'm generally thinking is, in any case, there's two different society. There's a gap, lay people's society, and there's monastic society. There's a kind of a gap, right? So probably beside doing the donations and offerings and sponsorship, sponsoring the pujas and, sponsoring whatever, maybe the lay people did not have very close connection to the monastic society. Actually, in Tibetan, Gompa, the monasteries are called the Gompa. Gompa means like isolation, right? The monasteries are very highly isolated places. So it means there's no much access for the local people. And so that's why I think the monastic world is becoming kind of very highly kind of professional and isolated, society from the normal society. But then when we talk to the ngakpas, the yogic tradition, or today I'm more saying it's more like lay people's tradition, right? So in the village, there are some people from their family, from their great-grandparents, and somebody is a ngakpa or ngakma, somebody's doing tantric practices, this and that. There's a kind of family lineage. And then the village people didn't know that those family is a yogic family, ngakpa family, and they have a very close connection, as they have a very easy access, right? And so which means actually, this kind of ngakpa tradition was very crucial for general public, for the normal society, because those are the spiritual healers, right? Those are the ritual performers. And some of those are doctors too, and some of those are astrologers, and some of those are the weather controllers, right? So some of those are expert in creating amulets, and they give amulets, to protect their animals, all the things. Actually, when we say ngakpas, maybe people, they think, oh, they are kind of like magicians and this and that. Actually, ngakpas, they had, huge service activities. Is not because they want to do these things, because they are asked. That is the request from the general public. Do you understand? So, somebody gets sick, and you are not going to bring this sick patient to bring a very important philosophy teacher or very important lama. This lama has, it's like a professor. It's a busy teaching and whatever, it's too busy. But then in the village, there's a ngakpa who's expert in these things, right? It's very organically, okay, bring to the ngakpa, bring to the healer, it's something very common and logic. So I think this is the reason, I try to think about how the ngakpa culture is important in Tibetan society. And it was, it had been important in Tibetan society. And because they have so many functions, right? So it means they knew how to serve people in many different ways. And yet they stayed like normal people, they are householders and marriage and fathers and sons and grandpas, and they know the normal, ordinary families' issues too. So I think that part also played an important role in Sowa Rigpa. So that's why in Sowa Rigpa says, Chimjul or Lobjul, some of them you need to, of course, if you study Sowa Rigpa, you need a good teacher. If you learned everything from your teacher, that's the education lineage holder. But if you learned from your grandpa or grandparents or from your parents, that's a Chimjul, that goes in the family, right? And so like Yuto, he did like that, and many other important, like even Marpa, the great translator, he was a great yogi, and he wanted to transmit all his teachings and all his knowledge from his family. So later, unfortunately, his son passed away. He was unable to pass others, but he tried his best, right? And so like that, I think that ngakpa culture was very important because that really kept Sowa Rigpa was a medical knowledge for everyone. Otherwise, Sowa Rigpa could have been becoming medical knowledge only in the monasteries and in nunneries, right? And then for common patient to have access of them is not that easy. So that's why I think this the Sowa Rigpa was transmitted in the ngakpa lineage. I think that was very essential historically. But today we know, the most of doctors are lay people, now we are in the century of the lay people, educated, we have chance to study, and especially now the younger generation, most of the Sowa Rigpa doctors are becoming female doctors. So now we are in a different time, different era. But I think still for us to remember this ngakpa culture is important, which means, as you are saying, these ngakpas are the tantric practitioners, and they are expert for creating amulets and using some very specific medicinal substances, and they know how to make a very specific rituals, right? How to make naga puja, how to make a puja for the sabdar, the earth spirit, how to pacify the earth spirit, how to pacify the water spirit, and how to deal with mamos, the female spirits, and how to deal with Tsen, the fire spirits, and how to deal with Za, the planetary spirits, right? So when we talk about spirits or demonology, there are lots of invisible spirits in the nature, right? So we can't call them demons, right? We can't call all humans are bad humans, right? We also can't call all humans are good humans. I think spirits are exactly the same. The moment we call they are demons, it means they are causing some troubles. But the moment we call them their local deities or gods, goddesses, it means our interaction, our relationship is good, right? You call somebody is a very good person, very nice person, this and that, you're talking about your relationship. Spirits are exactly the same thing. But then the really interesting thing is how the spirits are causing health issues to humans, right? One thing is very clear, there's something to do with environmental issues. So humans, if we disturbed environmental right? Peace. Like what we are doing with environment is, oh, humans, we can control the nature. We can do whatever we want. And with this and that, that's a wrong way of thinking. We should humbly accept we are part of this great nature, and we have to respect, and we have to live friendly with the nature, right? And we need to reconnect with the nature. It's not about controlling about the nature and how do you say, misusing the nature, right? If we humans, today we talk so much about abusive activities. What we are doing toward nature, this is one of the most abusive action what we can do to the nature, right? Sucking the gas and petrol and mining and creating all the toxic substances, destroying the nature. It's a very powerful abusive action, right? But still yet we are, oh yeah, something will do, something will happen, and this and that. So I think this kind of how humans, we treat nature and how we live in the nature and the spirits in the nature have a very close connection. It has a very, very close connection. So that's why in a kind of very plain way to explaining about the spirit, it means doing the rituals, respecting their spirits. It means respecting the nature. It's very simple. But then, of course, we can do more deeper level, another level to say, are there really exist the spirits, and those spirits are angry with humans, and can they cause provocations and this and that? Okay, my personal belief, yes, they are spirits. They just don't have the human forms. They are living in the energy dimensions, energy worlds. But again, why they provocate us? It's depending on a relationship. So that's why most of rituals, the interesting thing is, I don't know if you know Tibetan rituals, we are always inviting those spirits, right? We invite them, those spirits, and we apologize them. We confess that we did something wrong and we destroyed their home, because cutting the trees, and we messed up their village or whatever. And then we confess, and then we apologize, and then we are offering the part of the nature, whatever the flowers or the other substances comes, this and that, and we try to pacify that, right? So ordinary people, they don't know how to do this, and they ask ngakpas to do this. And actually, some of those ngakpas are experts. Okay, it's really, really, really expert. And to doing this kind of pujas and spiritual this, and they are having very good results, right? Not only the mental disease, normally people think, okay, possession. Oh, possession is a spirit possession, psychosis, and then we need the puja. You can do that for that too. It's possible some psychosis, interfered by the spirits, this and that. And so a good yogi or ngakpa can perform a good ritual, clarifies, purifies, then it's okay, right? But we also cannot say all kind of psychosis are spirit caused. It can be internally caused by ourselves. It's very complex, right? The problems. But same way also physical disease, autoimmune disease, and some of them, the great ngakpas, they perform great rituals. Once or twice, the problem is resolved. So, that part, I call it the spiritual aspect of the Sowa Rigpa. Unfortunately, today many Sowa Rigpa doctors, maybe including myself, we try to present Sowa Rigpa as an integrative scientific medical knowledge, with this, and then kind of the demon part or the provocation part, spiritual part, the ritual part. No, I'm not interested, So try to be, this. But that's why I was saying in earlier, it's important to learn the new culture, right? It's important to integrate in the new culture and in the new world, and understand, accept, and keep your mind open, and you learn and you progress. And also, it is dangerous that you are, because integrating too much, and you are pushing away the old systems, oh, the spiritual part, the ritual parts are not important. The mantra healing part is not important. Oh, doctors, actually, we don't do the rituals, this and that, right? It's not true. In the fourth Tantra, Yuthor says, it depends on the patient. If patient needs a shamanic ritual, you should perform a shamanic ritual. If you don't know how to do it, ask somebody to do it. If they need prayers, if they need pujas, fire puja, peaceful puja, restful puja, we should, tell them to do it. Or if we can do it, we can do for them too, right? So that's why I think, how do you say? It's important, we should not lose our root, really the base of the root for the Sowa Rigpa. And especially now the younger generation, I know, I studied in Lhasa, our younger students are more like modern style, not believing in spirits, and there's, I'm not superstitious or I'm atheist. That's okay. But in our culture, in our tradition, we have this aspect. But I think this aspect is an important aspect too, we need to preserve it. And we need to receive more education about this too.
Thank you. That's fascinating indeed. Well, this has been a really incredible interview. Thank you very much. And congratulations once again on the publication of Foundations of Sowa Rigpa.
Thank you.
Available at Sky Press. Yeah, great. And I know you've got all kind of packages there, online course coming with it, and ebooks and things like that. So it's quite a launch that's going on.
Yeah.
As we finish, I wondered if you have any closing thoughts or concluding comments about the book or about Sowa Rigpa, or about anything we've discussed or anything related.
Yeah, conclusion is, you asked me what is the core of Sowa Rigpa. I said the balance. And I just want to say, in Sowa Rigpa, we talk about energy balance is important, but energy is the link, the bridge between mind and the body. So we need to find a very good balance between mind and body. What does it mean? For spiritual people, please don't ignore your physical health. Have a good diet, rest well, and exercise well, sleep well, and then meditate well. So there are many spiritual people, they have tendency to ignore the physical body part, to saying everything is mind and everything is spiritual. I think that's a dangerous idea. And we cannot ignore our body. We have to take care of our body. And this is a part, very important part of the spiritual journey, right? So that's why Buddhist or spiritual people, please don't ignore about your physical body. Take care of your body. Diet and lifestyles are very, very essential. And then the other people, the materialistic people, to saying, oh, I'm not interested in the meditation and yoga and psychology. I don't need this, and meditation, I don't need this and that, which is also very extreme and dangerous way of thinking, right? Because when we don't care about our toxic emotions, and sooner or later, the effect, the result will manifest in your body as a immune system, autoimmune disease, or as diabetes and cancer and so on. And even you don't believe in spiritual mental peace, you are a very kind of physical person. The peace of mind is very important, because that is the root cause of happiness and good health. So that's why we don't need to be an extreme person. It's saying I'm extreme like a spiritual person, or I'm extreme, like a materialistic person. End of the day, we are humans. We are the mixture, we are the cocktail of the body and mind and the spirit. And that's why to really find a good balance between this mind, body, spirit is very, very essential. I think that is the essence of Sowa Rigpa. Thank you.
Dr. Nida Chenagtsang, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to another Guru Viking podcast. For more interviews like these, as well as articles, videos, and guided meditations, visit www.guruviking.com.